Last week, I officially sold my very first rental property, and honestly, it's a weird feeling because when I bought that property, I really thought buy and hold rentals were the roadmap to freedom for me. But after actually going through the full cycle, vacancies, repairs, management issues, tied up capital, all of it, I realized my perspective on investing has changed a lot. Welcome back to the Ricky Ricardo Show. It's your boy, Ricky Ricardo, and we're going to be talking about the very first property I purchased a couple years ago that got me started into real estate investing and how I no longer have ownership of that property. The deal's done on my birthday. Was actually kind of cool. Last week, your boy just turned 40. And on the day of my birthday, I got the wire. So that is written off. It's in the books. It's sealed, closed, and we're moving on. But we're going to be moving on with a lot of education, information, experience, and just total mindset shift on how it is now versus how it was then when I was stuck in analysis paralysis for 5 years, 6 years plus. I've told you guys this before, but I've constantly talked about it. I think there's a lot of us, I know because myself was part of it, we're just stuck in learning every investment strategy for real estate possible. And I listened to podcasts over and over and over on the job site, on road trips, anywhere. I listened to things and I was like, cool, these people are making changes to their life. They're making some money. One day I want to do this. Well, 2 years ago, I finally said, I'm going to do this. And I bought a property. The mindset then was just to grab rental properties. If I had a bunch of doors, I was going to be rich and free and I was able to walk away from my job. That's what I thought back then, but that's not the reality of it, right? So a completely different mindset now, but that was just the thoughts of a rookie. I'm still a rookie, but I've done quite a bit, to be honest. I've done a lot of things that I was hearing other people have done. So let's say I bought this property. It was turnkey. There was a tenant in place already. Not much was needed to be done to it other than, put money down and take on this property. I did nothing cool, nothing fun, no strategy other than here's some money and it's mine. I've done a BRRRR. My second property was almost a full BRRRR. So I did that. I've done a flip. That was exciting. That actually gave me some momentum and some money to actually try and keep doing this thing. And now I'm going to be trying a midterm rental. So I've done those 4 things. And now I've literally saw a property that was not performing in the way I needed it to and the way I wanted it to, and I sold that off. So I've done 5 things that are pretty major. I'm pretty excited about it. I'm confident in that I'm learning. I'm learning that this is going to take some risk. It's going to take some creativity, and it's going to have a different mindset to win. And I wanted to talk about that on this episode. Again, I bought the property. It was cash flowing about $135 a month. Nothing crazy. And you always hear people talk about if the AC goes bad, if this or that goes bad. And I had a sinkhole. It was 10 foot deep. I had some other issues. I had rats, mice, roaches. I had all of that. I had city issues, fines, tickets, unpaid utilities. In these 2 years, I had to pay those. So that ate into my cash flow. And mind you, I put money away. So that was on top of the reserves that they suggest or that is recommended put away for those rainy days. Most of those fees and repairs and things, I did have money from rents to cover. But it wasn't doing anything for my future long-term goal. And I sat down back then 2 years ago and I did a vision board. And I talked about, or I wrote down and thought, what do I want to do? Where do I want to be in X amount of years? And then I was excited. I was like, I got one. I'm going to get 100. If I get 100 plus homes, I'm going to be rich. I can quit my job. I can have so much freedoms. I can travel the world with my son and just live it up. And yeah, not so much. Not so much. I'm in my 4th deal. And I'm far from that. Let's be honest. I had some success on my flip. You guys are fully aware. But in terms of the freedoms and everything on that vision board, not in 2 years, 2.5 years. Not even close. But that's why I say the mindset shift is changing. Then I was excited just to get a rental property, right? Now I'm excited to get a performing business. I want a lot of cash flow, right? That's at least what I'm trying to achieve. You know, there's a lot of midterm rentals out there that have business names, and, you know, they may call their midterm rental the blue room, the green room, the executive suite, whatever name you want to put on it. And that certain property for certain people is making quite a bit of money. And they treat it as a single business. That's what I'm going to hopefully do with this one in the market that I'm currently in, and see if we can get there. We're getting closer to getting that renovated, so I'll be excited to share if the midterm rental is going to be a success or not. If it's not, I'm going to share with you guys that exactly. But, you know, this property got me started. I'm thankful for that. I had no emotional attachment to this first property. That's another thing. Because you own it and you're scared to lose, we hold on to properties a lot longer than we probably should, than our gut is telling us to, I should say. In my case, that's what it was. So I wanted to get rid of the property last year, but I was holding on because I was like, if I get through this flip, I'll be good. Mind you, this was vacant. I didn't have a tenant in there since, I think, September. And it was going to take about $20,000 to $25,000 to rehab the property. I already put $20,000 down. It's only a $90,000 home. I did not feel comfortable with putting close to $50,000 down on a $90,000 home, and the property wasn't going to be half that price. Now, if I was going to put $50,000 down and now I only owe 40, well, whole different ball game. But that's not what it was. So then it had vacancy. That sucked. Now that it's sold, I saved myself $600, $600, because I was just paying that out of pocket every month. It was slow growth. It wasn't, you know, going to increase in cash flow much. Even if I put the $25,000 down, I was going to go from let's just round up to $150 to $250. Is that going to make sense? It's not bad. I'm not saying long-term rentals are bad. It's just, you know, I have a different vision board, I guess you can say. And I didn't realize then what I think of and how I look at things now is what I want to say. It's not a lot of money that was tied up in the property, so holding on to it, it's not like, you know, like I said, I put $20,000 down, so being able to get that back, I mean, it doesn't put me into higher price markets or higher price homes, I should say, but it wasn't doing much for me. So I'd rather take that money and see if I can put it in newer markets and see what happens. And that's just because it wasn't life-changing cash flow. It wasn't at all. And there's a thing too, when people think of cash flow, I put $20,000 down, right? In the beginning, I thought, well, this thing's making me $150 a month or $200, let's say. What's your break even? I don't think people talk about that enough. When I put $20,000 down, how long is it going to take for me to recoup that $20,000 and actually become net positive? So for a while, I was telling people I'm making a couple $100 a month off this property when I was in the hole. I was in the hole the $20,000. That's why I say I'm not a big fan of turnkey homes with tenants in place where you can't do any value add, because I would love to do renovations on the property with the bank's money. Loans were scary in the beginning, but now that you know some of the products, it's like I'll use their money to do most of this, and I'll only put my down payment, and possibly if it's a value add, burr it and get most of my money back and then go from there. But I think I got caught up in the idea of owning rentals before really asking what kind of life single family home rentals were actually creating for me. I think that's deep. I think a lot of us can talk to ourselves with that line, and it might change things for us. I know it is for me. I want faster freedom. I want cash flows that actually help me. I want to be able to scale, and I want to try different strategies that can, threaten other strategies in a good way. So if I'm getting appreciation on a property, that's cool. But I also want to get higher cash flow. And if I have to pay a little bit more to go into a market that costs more, that's fine now, because I learned quite a bit going into a lower, cheaper market. So it's just slowing down and actually having that deep conversation within yourself to say, what am I doing? What do I want from this? And how can, not so much what do I want from this, how can I get to what I want in what I am actually doing? What am I pursuing? There's other investment models, there's other investment strategies that actually can help you get closer to where you want to be. I truly believe so. It's just a lot of information that we don't know. We get scared because we don't know. And trying these different strategies, I haven't locked anything in yet, right? I've done a multitude of things, but just trying multiple strategies, I'm going to find something. I have to. Otherwise, it's just not going to work, but I really believe it will. Something's going to work. This experience, this low cash flow, identifying it's not what I want, leaving a market, potentially, we'll talk about that in a future episode, because my second property, though I did want to sell real quick, I have a different strategy for that one. I'll keep you guys posted on that, but it will depend on comps and what the home could potentially sell for. But if I'm not excited, I'll do a whole episode on possibly why I might keep that deal. But anyway, small businesses, hotels, higher cash flow models, that's what I'm looking for. Not because I figured it all out at all, but I'm learning and I'm figuring out there's multiple ways to build freedoms. I don't regret buying this rental at all. It taught me a lot. I was able to meet some friends, some people that I still talk to today in this market. I'm excited it got me started. It got me out of the chair into the driver's seat to actually feel and take a look at what is possible. It's hard and scary to think that investors are these certain type of people. Well, we all can be an investor, right? You just have to be savvy a little bit, be creative. There's a lot of tools that we have at our hands that we can use to actually make an investment. I won't say that, you can come in here and do this with no money, with no credit. There's a whole method of earning your money first with like wholesaling and, things like that. But I don't know anything about wholesaling, so I'm not the one to talk to. I just see and hear others that make a decent amount of money doing that. And so if you need to get some money, look into that. But I can say that this property, this market changed the trajectory in how I'm looking at things and how I'm attacking life and this investment thing mentally. But I also think real growth comes from being willing to evolve, take risk, instead of forcing yourself to stick it out in a strategy that you're not excited with forever. It's okay to stop, and you probably should pause every now and then. We get so stuck on a subscription to Netflix, for example, or to any of these monthly subscriptions, even the gym. Let's talk about the gym or whatever it can be. And most of us just keep paying and not use the service. You know exactly what I'm talking about. That's what I was not willing to let happen in this portfolio of mine, in this freedom chase. And I felt like this was my building block, and I'm super appreciative of it. But I needed to knock this one down to tell myself there's more and there's better. That's all I got to say on this one. Full cycle, full circle moment. The property's gone. I bought it, 2 years ago, and we're moving on to the next exciting part of my investing career. And we'll just see where it goes from here. Thank you for your time as always. I appreciate the support. Subscribe, leave a review if you haven't. As always, have a great rest of your week, and I will catch you on the next episode. Take care, guys. Goodbye.